for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Fauci, the #1 Facebook post today about vaccines is Tucker Carlson's, suggesting they don't work, going back to our exchange from before. There are calls now to take down his post by Facebook because it's become the most engaged post and fueling the anti-vaxxer movement online. Would you, it seems appropriate given what big tech needs to do to take down these anti-vaxxer claims, to take down Tucker Carlson's Facebook post as well. What do you think?
You know, Congressman, I'm really not expert enough about
okay,
what
Dr.
should be
Kessler,
taken down.
Dr. Kessler, this is your beat, vaccine hesitancy. If this is as serious a anti-vaxxer claim and it's getting the engagement it should, shouldn't we take down this Facebook post?
Vaccines work. Any suggestion that they don't would be false and misleading. And I would ask, we've been sitting here, I would just ask that all members of this committee reinforce that point to the American people.
Dr. Fauci, with regard to Facebook, Chelsea Clinton has now called for this Facebook post to be taken down and numerous others. How about you?
You know, when I was trying to answer the question when you switched over to Dr. Kessler, I'm not an expert enough on what liberty should or should not be encroached upon by taking things down from Facebook. I don't want to go on the record and say something should be taken down from Facebook because that's not my area of expertise. What one can or cannot take down from Facebook. I can comment that I certainly disagree with what he said, and I made it very clear that I disagreed with what he said.
And should he retract his statements?
Should he what?
Should Tucker Carlson retract his statements in light of your testimony?
You know, I wish that he would not have said it. Again, I don't want to get into a back and forth because that's what happened between me and Tucker Carlson. I am too busy doing my job to going back and forth with people like Tucker Carlson. He could say what he wants to say. I wish he would not. I don't think it's productive.
Given what he has said and what he has posted on Facebook and social media, do you believe that it advances or sets back our drive to vaccinate the population?
Well, the statement he made is that he doesn't, then it looks like the vaccines might not be working. The implication was, since you're asking us to wear masks, the vaccine might not be working. My comment to that is that the vaccines were shown, the mRNA vaccines, to be between 94 and 95% effective. So my answer to him is merely one of data. Look at the data. The vaccines are highly efficacious and have been shown in the field to be highly effective. In fact, that was the third or fourth or fifth slide in my presentation.
It's a simple question, Dr. Fauci. Are his statements advancing the cause of getting us to the point where we can remove our masks and, quote unquote, exercise our liberties, or are we now setting back the program of getting to that stage?
His statements are certainly not advancing the cause of trying to get as many people vaccinated as quickly as we possibly can.
Dr. Kessler, you said that each week we're going to be delivering, or we are delivering 28 million doses of vaccine. And I assume that the demand right now meets the supply. But at some point you said it's going to plateau. And when do you expect the demand to be less than the supply?
I think over the next number of weeks.
So we'll be gathering a surplus of vaccines at that point?
It's, you know, we are a diverse country, and there's going to be areas where there's appointments that will go unfilled, and there will be areas of the country where it's still going to be hard to get an appointment. But I think we're getting to that inflection point, and I think we all have to individually work hard and personally to talk to people, listen to people, understand people's fears, people's concerns. We have a big job ahead of us if we're going to get
If we have surplus vaccines at some point where the demand is less than the supply and it's just gathering, what are the contingency plans to do with those surplus vaccines?
We are going to work day and night, and we are to build further confidence in the American people. We know the most important thing that we can do is to invest in trusted messengers across the country. We're leading with the science. I think you've seen that this week's actions should give the American people increased confidence in the FDA and the CDC. We have a big job ahead of us, and we're not going to stop until we've vaccinated everybody that we can.
Will the gentleman from Illinois yield for a question?
Go ahead.
Gentleman yield?
The time has expired.
I can't yield you anything, but go ahead.
The gentleman's time has expired. The chair now recognizes Dr. Green for 5 minutes.
Give Mr. Scalise 30 seconds and the remaining of my time to Mr. Jordan.
Thank you. I appreciate the gentlelady from New York. Real quick, because there were some comments that were brought up regarding Tucker Carlson, some things that were said, but other parts of the context that were left out. So I did just want to include, on Mr. Carlson's show on Wednesday, he did say, quote, "Wait a second, who's doubting that vaccines work? For the record, we never for a minute doubted it." He goes on to say, "So when they said this stuff works, we never questioned it." So I think it's important to put that on the record as well, because that was left out, I think a little bit unfairly. Yield back.
Mr. Jordan.
I thank the gentlelady for yielding. That was subject I wanted to touch on. We just had a member, I wish he was still here, that's why I tried to ask him a question, Representative Krishnamurthy, actually lobbying for, Tucker Carlson, a member of the press, actually lobbying for his statements to be censored. A member of the government telling someone in the press, advocating for someone in the press to have their statements censored. And Dr. Fauci says I'm ranting when I talk about the First Amendment. For goodness sake, you got a member of Congress in the government saying someone in the press should be denied their ability to speak that statement. They should be taken off of Facebook, taken down. This is how scary it's gotten. And the longer it goes, Dr. Fauci, the longer it goes, the scarier it's going to be for the liberties that we as American citizens have. And that has been my point the entire time. So I wish the gentleman were still here, but I cannot believe what I heard, where a member of Congress is saying and asking you all a question, and you all won't give the right answer, which is, of course, his statement shouldn't come down. It would have been easy to say, Dr. Fauci, if you actually cared about the First Amendment. Of course, I disagree with his statement. I know you do. I don't know that I disagree with everything he said, because he just was put in context when you get the whole context. But you disagreed with this statement, but you should have said he can say what he wants, shouldn't be taken down. I just respectfully disagree.
Right.
I yield back to the gentlelady from New York.
The gentleman's time.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, could I just, to clarify it, Congressman Jordan, I definitely think he has the right to say whatever he wants to say. Well, he was talking about things that I think are legal or not legal about taking things down. Why don't we just make it so that you understand very clearly that I think that Tucker Carlson can say whatever he wants to say. It's freedom of speech.
Well, God bless you. I appreciate it.
Well, you know, I would just say, Mr. Jordan, that there's something about this country that we pay entertainers very well. I don't care about how much money they make, but I want them to be recognized as entertainers.
Tucker Carlson is a member of the media.
Carlson.
He's a member of the press.
Tucker Carlson, in my not-so-humble opinion, is an entertainer. And with that, I'll give 5 minutes to Ms. Waters.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chairman. Again, Dr. Fauci, I'd like to thank you for your courage and your integrity.